are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh to let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children wade in the water. God said He's gonna trouble the water. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water. We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We don't shine at the shade. Give me a papa God where He make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children wade in the water. God said He's gonna trouble the water.
This is Lagoon Radio.
Water, we did wade in the water, children wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the
It's Lagoon Radio.
Good Tuesday morning, beautiful people and great people, and a very big welcome to you today, being the second Tuesday in the month of July, year 2022. How are you all doing health-wise? How's your mental health treating you at this time? And welcome to Lagoon Radio as you join the conversation today on the Health Talk, as we're broadcasting live to you from Marina, Lagos, and Lagoon Radio, of course, is your number one online gospel radio, powered by the Diocese of Lagos, Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion. And you can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, on Instagram and Twitter at Lagoonradio.Ng. And of course, if you need to put a face to this voice you're hearing right now, you can go to our YouTube channel on LagoonTV. Subscribe and turn on your notifications as we have exciting content for you live and direct here. I am your host today, your online radio doctor, Olabisi Simidele Oke, and welcome to our mental health series today. Over the course of the year, in the past months, we started the mental health series, and we actually did some interesting topics such as psychosis, schizophrenia, dissociation and dissociative disorder, stress, anxiety and anxiety disorder, amongst others. And today we'll be looking at another very, very interesting topic, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. And a lot of people, we do talk about ADHD like unconsciously, but really its full meaning is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Okay, the time is 6 minutes past the hour of 11 a.m. and I'll be taking you on a short music break, and we'll be right back to start our discussion on attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Don't go anywhere, stay connected to Lagoon Radio.
Hey, clap for me. Come on. Yes, hallelujah. Simple song kind of goes like this. If I was an eagle, I would lift myself, spread my wings and fly.
If I was a lion,
That's right.
I would run into the jungle and give my loudest growl.
And if I was the sun, yes, I would rise early in the morning and shine my light so bright.
If I was an angel, I would sound the alarm for the whole of creation to bow at your feet.
Here's the part where you join in. Yes, sir. Have you seen all the world? I have come to give you toilet, to give you worship.
I have come to give you toilet, to give you worship.
Yeah. We're going to the second verse now. Yeah. Said if I was a little child,
And if I was a stallion, no.
I would use my voice power. And if I was a shining star, I would illuminate everywhere to Jesus.
And if I was the son of a governor,
I would make everybody toast I look good. And if I could control the time, say I'm gonna go back to the Garden of Eden.
I would give you the worship that only you deserve. Yeah,
I would look for beautiful names like and I will go on song and everybody go. Let's go. We have come to give you toilet,
give you toilet,
to give you worship.
to give you worship. We have come to give you toilet, to give you worship.
No other God compares to you. No.
All right, you're welcome back, and you are still on the Lagoon Health Talk on Lagoon Radio. And before the music break, we just introduced us to the topic for today to be attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. And attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is a brain disorder that affects how you pay attention, sit still, and also control your behavior. And it happens in children and also in teens, and can continue into adulthood if not diagnosed on time and treated on time. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is the most commonly diagnosed mental disorder in children, and boys, like the male gender, are more likely to have it than the female gender. And it's usually stopped during the early it's usually spotted during the early childhood years or early school years, when a child begins to have problem paying attention. And basically, there are some children, like teachers could actually tell better. There are some children that they are just hyperactive, like they don't sit in one place. Even while they are eating, they don't just sit still. While you're teaching them, they're just restless, and all that. It is actually one of the symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And basically, in this part of the world, Africa generally, and most especially my dear Nigeria that I grew up, we will say, leave him, leave her. That's childhood stuff, not knowing that is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And our mothers, they will say, feel like Jacko Shere, Olamaja be more there. There are some time that a child will always be a child. Like children will always be children, but at the same time, there are sometimes that when you tell a child that, oh, sit still, you're in the church or you're in the mosque or you're in a prayer place, you need to sit still, and the child will obey and all that. But when you tell a child to sit still and the child just looks at you and be like, what's this one saying, and just goes on doing all sorts of things, distracting people up and down and all that. It is a symptom of attention and deficit hyperactivity disorder. And this particular disorder cannot be prevented and it cannot be cured. But spotting it early, plus having a good treatment and a good education plan can help a child or an adult that has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder manage their symptoms. Adult attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is a mental health disorder that includes a combination of persistent problems such as difficulty paying attention, hyperactivity, impulsive behavior. We have some adults that, the way they react to things at times, you'll be like, oroye be me, is this, is it more than this, and all that. And adult attention deficit hyperactivity disorder can lead to unstable relationships. It can lead to poor social relationships. It can lead to poor work performance, poor school performance, low self-esteem, and other problems like that. And and practically that adult might even tend to withdraw to his or herself, and at the same time have this kind of I don't care attitude. That's just me, that's the way I am, that's the way I'm wired, so I can jump up and down even when I'm not supposed to jump up and down, that kind of thing. So though it's called adult attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but symptoms actually start early. It starts in early childhood and continues into adulthood like that. And in some cases, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is not recognized and is not diagnosed until that person becomes an adult. And let me take you back to what I said earlier, that as a child, while growing up, you have the tendencies to be restless, like go up and down, move up and down, and our parents will feel that, oh, this one is a child, even when you're not supposed to behave like a child. Oh, he's a child, let's just accept that he's a child, not knowing it could be ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And that's why it's actually difficult for you to be diagnosed it's difficult for you to be diagnosed in childhood. And maybe when the person that becomes an adult and things starts turning out the way it's not supposed to turn out, and that's when people will start to pay attention to it. So adults attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, the symptoms may not actually be as clear as the symptoms in children, because basically in adults hyperactivity may decrease, but struggles with impulsiveness, restlessness, and difficulty paying attention may actually continue. I was in a conversation with someone a few weeks back, and the person was like telling me that, could you believe I was diagnosed of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder? And this particular person, we grew up together basically, and while growing up, he's always restless, Even while eating, that you'll be like, oh, why are you eating like this? A person is eating bread that is not auto. The way he'll be moving his mouth, he'll be like, she bread like, as if you're eating hot yam. No matter what he eats, the mouth will actually move in a particular way, and always restless, always trying to move here and there, like not seated in a place. You leave him in a place, and before within a twinkle of an eye, he moves to another place, But basically back then we're like, Omodeni is a child. Even when he clocked 10 years, it was still the same thing. Not until Ina grew up to like 20 something years old, and the thing still persists, and he had to take himself to a doctor, and he was diagnosed of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So that is actually the way it is, and always basically has had difficulty paying attention, like even while you're trying to teach one or two things, schoolwork and all that. the children, they don't just pay attention to it. So, and basically treatment for adult attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is similar to the treatment for childhood attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And the adult treatment includes medications, psychological counseling which involves psychotherapy, and a treatment for any mental conditions that occur along with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So, what are the symptoms of ADHD? Primarily, a wide range of behaviors are actually associated with ADHD, and some of the common ones include having trouble focusing or concentrating on tasks. you know, they're the kind of people that even while growing up, during childhood, maybe when the clock 8, 9, 10, basically between the age of 8 and 15, and you try and give them a particular domestic task, and you say, "Oh, do this. I'm going to work. By the time I come back, make sure it's done." They will tell you, "Yes, sir," or "Yes, ma." By the time you get back home, that thing is not yet done. What could be the cause? And you'll be like, and before you know it, and in this part of our country, in this part of our world, though we cannot rule spirituality out, but at the same time, we take things too spiritual. Something you're supposed to attack medically, you start attacking it spiritually. Fine. The Bible says, walk and pray. It says, faith without works is dead. So if you pray, and you not work, forget it. It might not work. So you pray on one side. At the same time, you make effort on the other side. So if you feel that your child is actually portraying that kind of attitude, like having trouble focusing or having trouble concentrating on a particular task, there are some you tell them, okay, wash this plate or sweep the staircase. To sweep staircase is a big deal for them. And they just do boom, 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 like, let me just finish up. Within 30 seconds, I finish sweeping and mopping the staircase, and you'll be like, ow, even machine cannot do that within 30 seconds, and all that. So we should actually pay attention to that in our children, and also adults too. Then being forgetful about completing tasks, we'll be like, I forgot. Oh, I did it halfway. I forgot. Motigbagwe and all that. And when you ask him or her that, what have you been doing? Nothing. Just forgot. Restlessness. Then being easily distracted. Being easily distracted. This is actually very, very common. Being easily distracted. Like a lot of people, you can work, you can do some work while where there is noise and all that. There's some time that you can't even concentrate in a noisy environment. But at the same time, maybe you're trying to do a particular work and someone just interrupts and talks. Before you know it, you've snapped out of the world of the work you are doing, and you're already distracted. You already forgot where you were. To even go back to that work it's a big task on its own. Then having difficulty sitting still. A lot of us, we have difficulty sitting still. If you tell us to sit still, we'll let you know that you want to kill us early. Like, why would you tell me to sit still? For how many hours am I going to sit still? Please, let me just get something doing. I want to be active. Fine, it's good to be proactive. But at the same time, there are sometimes you need to sit still. Take, for example, you can't be doing a write-up, or you can't be creating a content and be moving up and down. You need to sit still and think. But when you're creating a content, I'll be like, okay, I'm coming. Let me do this. I'm coming. You're easily distracted. And also another symptom is interrupting people while they are talking. Interrupting people while they are talking. That one, it's so common. If I lie, you can comment and say it's a lie. When you're talking, while someone is talking, you need to just listen. Like, even if you have an opinion, or if you have an opinion, or if you need to comment, if you need to add to what that person is saying, or if you have a different view about the topic, let them land. By the time they land, then you pick up yours. But while that person is talking, you just put your own piam. That piam. I'm just trying to be as informal as possible on this show, because this thing called attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is the most common mental health issue we have here. So, interrupting people while they're talking, that's another symptom. Then signs and symptoms can actually be specific to different aspects of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, such as hyperactivity, impulsivity, or difficulty focusing. And a person who is experiencing hyperactivity or impulsivity may actually find it difficult to sit still or remain seated. For example, in class, it's not a crime for you to, mix up with friends during a leisure time or during a break and all that. But while you're in class, you're supposed to sit still and listen to whatever your teacher is teaching you. But instead of that, you're standing up and down, taking biro, one person's pen. Oh, I can't find my pencil. Give me pencil. Okay, let's just view this. Take, for example, you're a teacher and you have a pupil in your class, or maybe primary school or secondary school student in your class, and while you're teaching, that student stands up to get a pen from his or her friend. The student comes back, stood up again to pick pencil, comes back again. Oh, I forgot to take eraser. That kind of thing is actually a symptom of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Then when a person has trouble playing or carrying out tasks quietly, that means that person is experiencing hyperactivity or impulsivity. And when someone talks excessively, you just don't talk like you just don't talk, like you just talk in excess. And by the time you start talking in excess, you start talking something out of sense. That's another symptom of someone experiencing hyperactivity and impulsivity as well. Then when a person finds it hard to wait for their turn, like you're always in a hurry. No, I can't wait. I need to do this, I need to do that. They're always in a hurry. Wait for your turn. You don't need to be in a hurry in a very, very ridiculous way. Then when someone interrupts others when they are speaking, playing, or carrying out tasks. Also, someone who is having difficulty focusing might actually make frequent mistakes and also miss details when studying or working. Also finds it hard to maintain focus when listening, when reading, and also holding a conversation. And that same person could actually have trouble organizing their daily tasks. Like, they don't just have plans for the day, they just know that, oh, I'm up for today, up and thankful, thank God, I'm grateful for the gift of life. Then off they go. There's no organized daily task. Then when someone loses items frequently, most of us wonder why people we are close with lose one or two things. Like, today I lost my phone, and that same day I bought a very small phone. The phone actually went missing again, or they easily lose things, they lose items frequently. Then people having difficulty focusing can also be easily distracted by small things happening around them. I said that earlier. Then we have symptoms in children as well. And symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in children are grouped into three types. We have inactive, hyperactive, impulsive, and combined. That we have people that are inactive, we have people that are hyperactive and impulsive, and we have people that are inactive, hyperactive, and impulsive all together. So we'll be picking them one after the other. A child with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is easily distracted. That's one of the symptoms. Doesn't follow directions or finish tasks. People are going one way, you are going another way. It happens to adults. We have adults that people are actually on a particular side and you are going on a different side. You don't mind if you're the only one going on that opposite direction. You just know that you're going towards a particular direction. Watch it. Then that child doesn't seem to be listening. Like, no matter what you say to the child doesn't seem to be listening. And that particular child doesn't pay attention and also makes careless mistake. And as a parent, you wonder why your child makes that type of careless mistake, and you'll be like, and like I said earlier, there are some things we need to tackle medically, medically, and we tackle them spiritually. We just leave the medical part and go spiritual and be like, oh, my village people are after my child. My child makes careless mistakes. No. Yeah, you can pray for the child. At the same time, take steps, medical steps. Then when the child forgets about daily activities, when that child has problems organizing his or herself, when the child doesn't like to do things that require sitting still, just up and down, and you just wonder that, don't you get tired? Even you as a parent, you're already getting tired on behalf of that child. Like, don't you get tired? You've been walking up and down since morning. Just sit still and rest. It's a symptom of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder in children. And when a child tends to daydream as well, that's another symptom. And that's for the inattentive group. Then for the hyperactive and impulsive child, they often fidget, or they often bounce when sitting. Like, they don't, even when they sit, you just see them. I don't know if you're watching me online right now. You just see them bouncing even when sitting, and the child will be making this funny noise, like, my producer is laughing. And that's the way it is. And you'll be like, excuse me, you're distracted. Like, they don't mind. And when the child has trouble playing quietly, we have children that love to play quietly. They love to arrange Lego. They love to solve puzzles. They just love to do all those things and all that. They love to play their board games quietly. But when you have a child that even while playing, the whole environment is upside down, that is a symptom of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And when that particular child is always moving, such as running or climbing things, or climbing on things, especially in teens and adults, that is more often described as restlessness. And that's what we basically, in this part of the world, describe as restlessness. Why are you so restless? Climbing things up and down. And I remember then, when I entered into the secondary school, I had a particular classmate back then. He was always jumping up and down. Even while we're in class, he's outside flying up and down. And you just wonder that, what's wrong with this boy? And a lot of us, we actually thought it was Ishiai, according to Yoruba. And it wasn't Ishiai. Not until attention was actually paid on him and all that, he got over it with time. Then when a child talks excessively, one thing is for a child to be curious, like to be curious and want to learn more. Another thing is for a child to just start talking and keep talking and keep talking, and you wonder what sort of talk is this, Then when a child is always on the go, as if driven by a motor, like always on the go, always out there, then when a child blots out answers as well, it's another symptoms, and also interrupt others. We have children that even when adults are talking, like children tend to actually do that a lot. They just come to stand in between the two of you and be like, Mommy, I want to talk to you. Mommy, they just throw a question at you, and you be like, can't you see we are talking? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Then we also have the combined, like I mentioned earlier, and this involves the sign of both types. That's when a child is inattentive, hyperactive, and impulsive at the same time. Combination. And this is the most common type of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. That's the combined one. And people with this combined type of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder display both inattentive and hyperactive symptoms. And this includes an inability to pay attention and a tendency toward impulsiveness and above average levels of activity and energy. And you'll be like, this child is so full of energy, without knowing it is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I say, my child is hyperactive, he's so hyper. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And the type of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, you or your child, as we determine how it is treated. And the type you have can change over time. And so the treatment can also change too. We have symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder that can actually change as someone grows older, and they include anxiety, low self-esteem, problems at work, often being late or forgetting things, and trouble controlling anger. Once you're angry, you throw tantrums, you want to destroy everything that is within your reach. There are even some children that would jump up and just, that kind of impulse. There are some children that when they are angry, they can throw themselves anywhere, and you wonder what is happening, And for the spiritual parents, or let me say for the over spiritual parents, they will feel it's Ogbanje's spirit. It's not Ogbanje's spirit. Then we also have substance misuse or addiction, trouble staying organized, procrastination. You see this particular procrastination, my dear people of God. Procrastination, they say, is the thief of time. That procrastination, let me say, is common. Like, it's the most common symptom of ADHD that we are going through. And as we get older, what you're supposed to do immediately, you just say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next tomorrow. Without reasons, without any cogent reason. Procrastination. Whatever you want to do, just do it immediately and forget about it and let it go. You don't need to procrastinate. If you procrastinate, it's basically stealing your time, and you just cause yourself unnecessary delay. Then when you're easily frustrated, that's another symptom of ADHD as you grow older. Any little thing frustrates you. Even what is happening in Nigeria now, first scarcity, the traffic in Lagos, coupled with the rain, the flood, and everywhere, you're frustrated. And before you know it, suicidal thoughts sets in. Depression and suicidal thoughts actually starts creeping in, and you wouldn't know. Then when you're always bored, even when you're alone, there are some activities you can do. You don't need to just say, oh, I'm bored. Find yourself. Just lay your hands on something and do that particular thing and be productive. Do not allow your time to just go like that without you doing anything. At times I just sit at the end of the day and I just think, what have I achieved today? If the whole 24 hours actually goes without you achieving one thing, my dear, is a wasted life, is a life wasted at the same time. You've basically wasted that particular aspect of your life. Then we also have people that have trouble concentrating when reading. Because when reading, you have trouble concentrating. Like, you can read a page of a novel or of a motivational book. You can read a page for about 6 months, and the book will be sleeping under your pillow. That's another symptom. One thing is for you, there's some people that they're more of an audiovisual learners or readers. If you cannot do the hard copy of the book, you can do an audio book. Just fixing your earpiece and start listening to the novels and all that. If that is the easier way, it could actually you can actually assimilate. You can do that. But reading a page for months or what happened? It's one of the symptoms as you grow old. Then mood swing. We have that a lot. Mood swing, one time you're all shades of nice, and the other minute you're all shades of mean, and people around you will be like, but you were nice a few minutes ago. What happened? Are you okay? And you can't even explain what happened. Mood swing, unnecessary mood swing. Then depression and also relationship problems. Depression is actually another topic on a mental health series, which we'll be treating during the course of our mental health series here on Lagoon Radio. So basically, if you actually have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or your child has it, you can have some or all of the symptoms I've actually outlined. And the symptoms you have will actually depend on the type of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder that you have. So just try as much as possible to explore a list of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder symptoms that are common in children. Let's go on this music break, and we will be right back to discuss the causes of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I'm still your online radio doctor, Olabisi Semidele. Okay, stay connected to Lagoon Radio. I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah, oh, na, 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 yeah, 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 oh, na, 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 yeah, 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 oh, na, 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 Jehovah Obadu, Papa, you're too good, Jehovah, you're too good, Papa, you're too kind, miracle working God, give you all the praise, give you all the glory, you alone deserve it. You put my enemies under my feet, because I have you, I face no defeat. Higher and higher, I give you the praise and I give you the honor, because you're the king. You love me personally, see the testimony, you get the glory, you get the honor and everything, yeah. You love me personally, see the testimony, you get the glory, you get the honor and everything. Babadu, Babadu, Papa, you too good, Jehovah, you too kind, see the things that you done for me, Papa, you too kind, yeah.
The good things that you they do, you just scatter my hand, oh, Allow me, oh, another. Oh, the many blessings you bless me, I cannot tell it all. I thank you, you love me personally, see the testimony, you get the glory, Lord, you know, you love me personal, testimony, you get the glory, Lord, yeah. Baba, you do right now. Oh, the name is Baba, you do right. Oh, the name is Kobe, Baba, you do right now.
This is
Are you ready?
Testimony,
You got the glory,
get the glory.
you got the honor and everything, yeah.
You love me personal, you love me personal, you get the glory, Lord. Hey, yeah.
Yeah, Obadu, Obadu,
Jehovah, Obadu,
yeah, 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 yeah. Jehovah, Obadu, Papa, you too kind,
you too dear, you too dear. Jehovah, Obadu,
the blessings of our day,
Jehovah, Obadu,
the blessings of our day, Jehovah.
All right, you're welcome back. The time is 20 minutes to 12 noon, and I hope you're enjoying the mental health series here on Lagoon Radio, broadcasting live to you from Marina, Lagos. Don't forget, our Facebook platform is at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, our Instagram and Twitter at Lagoonradio.Ng, and our YouTube channel, Lagoon TV. And for more news update on Lagoon.News, we have a lot of news for you there. So we've been talking about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and we've talked about what attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is, the symptoms in both adults and children, as well as the groups of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which are the hyperactive impulsive group and the inattentive group, and also the combination of both. That's the inattentive and the hyperactivity impulsive group. Then someone might actually be asking, after all is said and done, that what are the causes of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Basically, experts are not sure what causes attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, but several things may lead to it, which includes genetics, chemicals, brain changes, nutrition, toxins, injury, what have you. So for genes, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder tends to actually run in the family. So that means it's hereditary, right? So if it runs in your family, there might be no room for escape as generation rolls by in that family. And also chemicals, brain chemicals in people with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder may actually be out of balance, and brain changes as well. Areas of the brain that actually controls attention are less active in children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And basically, I think I grew up to actually know this. They used to say it anyway, but I'm yet to get my facts. I'm still trying to make some research on it. That if a child uses the left hand, you don't need to force that child to change to right hand. Maybe if a child starts to write with left hand, you don't need to change it. There is a left part of the child's brain that is more active than the right part of the child's brain. Basically, it's funny. It cracks me up anytime I hear that. But at the same time, I think we actually really need to find out more about that. Maybe it's a fact or it's a myth, and all of that. Then we also have poor nutrition to be a cause of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Poor nutrition, infections, smoking, drinking, substance abuse, especially during pregnancy. And I wonder, there are some pregnant women that they can drink to stupor and they are pregnant. And by the time they give birth to that child will be behaving like someone that is drunk. But really, we really, really need to tell ourselves the truth. If you're pregnant, and if you're an alcoholist, or how would I put it? Or if you're a fan of alcohol, please and please, for the sake of that child, stay away from alcohol. Stay away from drinking. Kilo day, what happened? Do you want the child to be thinking alcohol every time? On a lighter note, really, but I'm really serious about this. So, especially during pregnancy, you need to, because these things can affect a baby's brain development. You're not eating well, poor nutrition, smoking. There are even some part of this Nigeria that will say, even while we're pregnant, we drink. And I've heard someone say that whenever I want to enter labor room, if I've not drank beer, there's no how I can push. Are you kidding me? A particular tribe in this country, let me use name and cover them. So that won't be as if I'm bringing them out. They will say, when I want to enter labor room, I'll first drink beer, big stout, chilled bottles, big stout, and I would just drink before I enter the labor room. I'm like, kilo day. Already be me, this word or another one. Then another cause of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is toxins such as lead, and this may actually affect a child's brain development as well. Then a brain injury or a brain disorder that's damage to the front of the brain, called the frontal lobe, can cause problems controlling impulses and emotions. Basically, maybe as that child is growing up, children tend to fall while growing up. Maybe by the time they start falling and start hitting their head and all that, it actually affects. It would actually affect that child. Then this is what I want us to know, and it's a fact. Sugar doesn't cause attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And because like I said earlier, we actually believe in a lot of myth in this part of the world, that if a child is jumping up and down, and we believe that is when a child takes something sugary, that's when the child, that's when mad. It's not. Sugar doesn't cause attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder isn't caused by too much TV, a stressful home life, poor schools, or food allergies. The most common type of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, like I said earlier, people with that display both inattentive and hyperactive symptoms and all that. So basically, please, let's just use this as a take home, because our time is fast spent. Would actually break this show into two. We'll continue by next week. let's take home that one, sugar doesn't cause attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Too much TV, poor school, a stressful home life, or food allergies doesn't cause attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Poor nutrition, infections, smoking, drinking, and substance abuse during pregnancy. Emphasis, during pregnancy can affect a baby's brain development, and the child can actually have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder while growing up. Thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of mental health series here on Lagoon Radio. Do join me same time by 11 a.m. next Tuesday as we continue this topic, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, here on Lagoon Radio. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook at Lagoon Radio Nigeria, on Instagram and Twitter at LagoonRadio.Ng, and of course our YouTube channel on LagoonTV and our news channel on Lagoon.News. Right about now, we will be joining the All Souls Church Lekki for the midday prayer. Do stay connected to Lagoon Radio. Don't go anywhere. I still remain your online radio doctor, Olabisi Simidele Oke. Stay connected. Bye.